My name's Jake. I'm 31. And for as long as I can remember, I've been the extra in my own family story. Not resentful, just being real. I was the dependable one, the guy who smoothed things over, who paid for stuff without making a scene. I never battled my siblings for the spotlight. Holidays were never about me. I didn't expect applause when I covered the check or took personal days to help someone move or recover after surgery. I just did those things. That's how I was brought up. Do the right thing. No need for a pat on the back. That was the motto. My sister Elena, 2 years younger, was the center of attention. Always. She had this magnetism, this energy that pulled people in like they were sunflowers chasing the sun. She wasn't outright cruel, not exactly, but she knew how to get what she wanted, especially from me. That smile of hers could dress up a lie so well it sounded like a compliment. And for most of our lives, I just let her run with it. Elena's wedding had been in the works for over a year. It was like someone turned a Pinterest board into reality. Pastel flowers, handwritten name cards, live string music, the full fairy tale. And guess who stepped up when her fiancé's family bailed on their share of the costs last minute? That would be me. She joked about it, calling me the investor. Ha ha. But I wasn't laughing when I wired 8 grand to lock in the photographer she'd been dreaming about since she was 16. I didn't make a fuss when I agreed to pay for their honeymoon flights either. Mom said money was tight, and Elena looked at me like it was just the obvious move. I saved all the receipts, not out of spite, not because I wanted to throw it in their faces. I guess part of me still held on to this tiny hope that if I just gave enough, did enough, maybe they'd finally look at me as more than just some backup character. Everything started shifting about a week before the wedding. I was knee-deep in coordinating with the photographer, finalizing the travel details for their honeymoon, and even working on the speech Elena begged me to give at the rehearsal dinner. Then the little comments started slipping through. Maybe skip the navy suit, Elena said on the phone, casual as anything. It feels kind of heavy. Then Mom added her 2 cents. Try not to draw too much attention, honey. This is Elena's moment. I laughed it off like I always did. Old habits. But this time something about the tone stayed with me. It didn't feel like teasing. It felt sharp, intentional. Then 2 days before the wedding, the text came through. No hello, no explanation. Just a neat little message bubble on my phone. Don't bother showing up, you'll ruin the photos. I stared at it for a whole minute, thinking maybe I misread it. But no, that was it. My own sister. The same one I drove to prom during a hailstorm because her date bailed. The one I helped move 3 times in 2 years. The same person whose wedding I'd practically financed was telling me not to come. Not because I'd done anything wrong, just because. Because I didn't match the aesthetic. But what really hit me wasn't the message. It was what popped up underneath. A notification. Mom liked a message. I tapped on it. She liked it. My mother hit a thumbs up on the message telling me I wasn't welcome at the wedding. That tiny little icon may as well have been a slap across the face. I didn't text back. I didn't call. I didn't yell or ask why. I just sat there in my apartment, staring at the wall, thinking about all the times I'd taken a back seat, paid the bills, showed up in a crisis. And for what? To be told I'd mess up the wedding pictures? I stood up, walked over to my desk, and opened my laptop. First thing I did was email the photographer. Hey, it's Jacob. I won't be needing your services on Saturday. The payment came from my account, and I'm moving forward with a cancellation. Please confirm. They replied in under 20 minutes. Sorry to hear that. We'll issue a refund minus the deposit. I didn't care about the deposit. Next, I logged into my travel app and canceled the honeymoon flights to Santorini. I'd booked them myself, on my card under my name. Refunds processed. Still no outburst. Still calm. But something inside me shifted. Quietly but permanently. Not out of spite, not yet. More like a realization. To them, I was just a wallet, a supporting role. Not a brother, not a son, and definitely not someone whose presence mattered. I started replaying old memories, moments I'd buried. Like when Elena would mock me in front of her friends and call it just teasing. Or the time mom, after I'd gone through a painful breakup, looked me in the eye and said, "Well, you were always a bit hard to love." I'd swallowed it all. Told myself that's just how families talk. That night, something finally clicked. What I'd been brushing off for years, it wasn't love or honesty. It was plain old contempt, dressed up like family familiarity. I didn't text back, didn't fire off some dramatic response. I just went quiet, intentionally. I wanted them to feel the silence, to notice the absence. Not all at once, but gradually, like fog rolling in before you even realize visibility's gone. No speech at the rehearsal, no photographer showing up, no tropical honeymoon, just quiet holes where my help used to be. But I wasn't finished. Not even close. The next morning I drove out to Dad's old place. One of my childhood friends rents it now, but Dad's storage shed still stands out back. Inside, tucked beneath layers of dust and years, was a plastic bin packed with family keepsakes, photos, home videos, even some of Elena's childhood artwork. I picked out a few of the more memorable ones, like her dressed as a dolphin at age 10, or those awkward school headshots from her braces era. Then I swung by a local print shop and had them turned into a handful of clean, cheeky poster prints. Nothing mean-spirited, just something to liven up the guest photo station they'd set up. Around noon, I dropped them off anonymous delivery at the venue coordinator's office. The label read, Elena's Memory Lane. No name, just a sticky note. A surprise from a loving relative. Still not a single word from Elena. Not from Mom either. No text, no call, no apology. Like I'd been erased. But here's the thing. They assumed my silence meant I was backing down. They didn't realize I was just watching, letting the cracks appear. Because when your entire big day is balanced on someone else's time, effort, and wallet, it only takes one person stepping back for the whole illusion to cave in, and it was already starting to crumble. The day before the wedding, I treated it like any other Friday. I went to the office, stuck to my schedule, answered emails, closed contracts, smiled like everything was fine. But in the background, I was tracking their every move, like a strategist watching the battlefield. Right around lunch, my phone buzzed. I was still part of the wedding group chat, apparently overlooked in their rush to exile me. Elena had posted, "Hey all, quick update. The photographer had to cancel last minute. Emergency, I guess. We're scrambling. If anyone knows someone good, let me know. We need someone for tomorrow." There it was, the first crack. I read the message a few times, sipping my coffee slowly like it was a vintage bottle of wine. 30 minutes later, another update. Also, does anyone know what happened to the honeymoon flights? The site says our reservation's gone. If this is a glitch, I'm gonna lose it. And just like that, the knot in my chest started to loosen. I wasn't gleeful. Not exactly. But for the first time in years, I had clarity. No second guessing, no. What did I do wrong? I wasn't confused anymore. I was in control, watching them scramble while realizing I wasn't their fallback plan anymore. I didn't reply, didn't offer a solution. The group chat lit up with questions. Her fiancé Tyler chimed in, asking if the photographer had already been paid. Elena didn't answer. I figured she never told him I was the one footing most of the bill. Probably made it seem like I was just pitching in a little. That's the thing with people like them. Lying is second nature, even to the ones they claim to love. By 5 p.m., my phone rang. Mom. Her name popped up with that tired old photo she took back in 2014, smiling like she meant it. I stared at it, let it ring, then hit decline. No voicemail. 2 minutes later, a text lit up my screen. Jake, please call me. There's some kind of mix-up with the travel stuff, and Elena's getting anxious. We need to talk. Not I'm sorry, not we were wrong. Just anxious, like I was tech support and she was submitting a ticket. That night, I made myself a real dinner. Steak, asparagus, mashed potatoes made from scratch. I poured a glass of wine, lit a candle, and put my phone on silent. Played an old album I hadn't touched in years. Sat in my little apartment, finally, feeling like I wasn't just reacting to someone else's chaos. I was writing my own part of the story. Wedding day came. I didn't go. Instead, I threw on a hoodie, picked up coffee from the bakery down the block, and wandered over to the park. The air was crisp. Everything felt still. And for once, I wasn't angry, not bitter, just finished. Around mid-morning, maybe 10 or 11, my phone buzzed again. A message from my cousin Ethan. Dude, did you really cancel the photographer and the honeymoon? What's going on? I wrote back simply, I did. Ask Elena why. His reply, she's crying. Your mom's screaming at the planner. Tyler looks like he wants to walk into traffic. I didn't type anything else. Just locked my screen and watched a dog chase a pigeon across the grass. Later that afternoon, I checked Instagram. Elena had posted one of those passive-aggressive story updates. Black text on a white background. Not everything goes according to plan. Thank you to everyone who showed up and helped us through a very unexpected day. Love you all. The comments were a weird mix. Some people offering blind support, others clearly puzzled about what really went down. You still look stunning. Hope the day still felt magical. Can't wait to hear the story one day, LOL. That was one of the comments someone left under the only photo Elena posted. Her and Tyler standing in the church doorway. Clearly taken on someone's phone. Granny's probably. The shot was tilted, off-center, poorly cropped. And yet there it was. The caption, against all odds. Just married. Against all odds? Really? As in, despite cutting out the one person who covered half the cost of your dream wedding? The whole moment felt like I was watching someone else's life. Just a year ago, I would have done anything to be there. I'd have stood by her side smiling for every photo, giving a heartfelt speech, doing whatever it took to make her fairy tale come true. But now, I didn't feel left out. If anything, it felt like I'd finally opened my eyes, like I'd been asleep for years and just woke up. And yet, it wasn't done. At 8:07 p.m., the doorbell rang. I wasn't expecting anyone. I walked over, looked through the peephole. It was Tyler. His hair looked like he'd run his hands through it 100 times. Tie half askew, his expression hard to read. He knocked once, then stepped back. He looked drained, not angry, not confused, just worn thin. I cracked the door open. He blinked. Hey, can we talk? My gut clenched, but I didn't let it show. Not on your honeymoon? I asked. His jaw tightened. Yeah, about that. I let him in. And that's when the whole thing started coming apart. Faster than I expected. Tyler stepped into my apartment like someone walking into a room full of landmines. He wasn't aggressive, just carrying the hesitant energy of a man who just realized he might have bet on the wrong horse. His eyes scanned the room. Minimalist layout, books piled on the side table, a lone dying plant in the corner. The wine glass from the night before still sat on the counter. I motioned toward the couch. He sat slowly, hands clasped, elbows on his knees. He stayed silent for a few seconds, long enough for me to wonder if he was rehearsing or trying to spin it in a way that didn't make him look complicit. Finally, he broke the silence. I didn't know, he said quietly. I swear to you, Jake, I had no idea you were paying for all that. I raised an eyebrow. None of it. He shook his head. Elena told me your gift was just a deposit for the photographer. That's it. Said her uncle covered the flights, that the honeymoon was his present to us. I leaned back. And you never asked. He let out a frustrated breath. I did, a couple times. She brushed it off, changed the subject. I thought, I don't know, she was stressed. Weddings are chaos. I didn't answer right away. Part of me wanted to unload every single petty detail, every screenshot, every receipt, every quiet moment I swallowed instead of speaking up. But I didn't need to. It was written all over his face. His hands were twitching against his knees, eyes red around the edges. He wasn't just tired. He was unraveling. He cleared his throat. Look, I know we don't really know each other that well, but I wanted to come talk to you face to face. She's falling apart. Full meltdown. She thinks you sabotaged the wedding out of revenge. I let out a dry, joyless chuckle. Right, Because I was the one who'd ruined the photos, remember? Tyler winced. I saw that text. Her phone was open while she was crying in the bathroom. I read it. I didn't even know your mom had liked it until just now. I nodded slowly. She didn't think I'd actually walk away. He shook his head. None of them did. That's the problem. There was a long pause. Then he leaned forward, resting his elbows on his knees again. She said something earlier today, he began, right after we realized the photographer wasn't showing and the flights had been canceled. She was losing it, screaming, and then she just blurted out, he was never supposed to matter this much. That one hit me in the chest, hard. I shouldn't have been surprised, but hearing those words come from him, it made it real in a new way, like it was cemented now. She actually said that? I asked. He nodded, eyes heavy with something between guilt and sadness. She didn't even say it with anger. More like she truly couldn't grasp how things could fall apart without you. I let out a slow breath through my nose. No words, just that exhale. And your mom? I asked, already knowing the answer. He hesitated, then replied carefully. She's been stirring the pot for weeks. Elena didn't want to cut you out completely. That was your mom's idea. She was just upset, Tyler said quietly. The thing with the photos, it was supposed to be petty, temporary, a moment of drama, nothing more. Then he added, your mom told her to stick to it. Said it would blow over if she just held her ground. Something inside me went still. Not with rage, not anymore. It was colder than that, like a weight settling deep in my chest. It was the kind of quiet realization that confirms what you've always known but never wanted to admit out loud. That mom always picked Elena. That to her, my value came from how useful I was, what I could do, what I could give, not who I was. She never thought I'd walk away. She assumed I'd always be there, always ready to pay, to forgive, to make things right. Mom told her not to back down, Tyler said again. She said if Elena gave in to you, it would set a dangerous precedent. Her exact words. I let out a short, bitter laugh. Like I'm some toddler trying to sneak dessert before dinner. Tyler gave a slow, tight nod. She also said, if you really cared, you would have shown up anyway. Of course, there it was. The rewriting had already started. The story shifting in real time. Jake the selfish one. Jake the saboteur. Jake who made the wedding about himself. Forget the thousands of dollars. Forget the silence I held on to for years. Forget how I'd been sidelined, overlooked, treated like a backup plan until their plans needed funding. Tyler got to his feet. Look, I don't know what happens from here. Elena's not talking to me right now. She's been crying in the bathtub, and your mom's blaming the wedding planner for everything that went wrong. But I didn't want to walk away from this without saying something. I needed you to hear it from me. This isn't how I wanted to begin our marriage. I tilted my head. You still think it's beginning? That caught him off guard. He blinked, hesitated. I don't know. His honesty surprised me, but it had the hollow tone of someone who just watched his fairy tale unravel. He reached into his pocket and pulled out a small envelope. I found this in her planner, he said, holding it out. Figured you should have it. I opened it. It was the speech I wrote, the one Elena asked for weeks ago, then never mentioned again. It was printed, highlighted, scribbled on. Make this funnier. Cut that part. Too emotional. Add more about her. I smiled, but there was no warmth in it, so I'd been edited, like some assistant submitting a draft to be polished by the star. Tyler gave me a sheepish look. I'm sorry, man. For everything. I didn't say a word. After he left, I sat down with that speech in my hands, staring at the words. They didn't even feel like mine anymore. They belonged to the version of me who still believed a nice gesture, a heartfelt paragraph, could fix a lifetime of imbalance. But that version of me, he didn't live here anymore. As the sun dipped below the buildings and cast everything in warm orange light, my phone buzzed. Elena. First a call, then another, then a voicemail, and finally a text. Hope you're happy. Everyone's asking where the photographer is, why the pictures are trash. Tyler won't even talk to me. I know what you did. You'll regret it. I put the phone down. Didn't respond. I didn't regret it. Not even a little. 3 days went by. I didn't return a single call. Didn't answer a single message. Elena texted again the next morning. Something dramatic about how I ruined the most important day of her life. Later that evening came another message. Longer this time. A full paragraph about betrayal, family, forgiveness, and then a line that had Mom's fingerprints all over it. You've made your point. Now stop acting like a child. Tyler didn't follow up, but I hadn't expected him to. He'd done what he came to do. He told the truth. I don't know what kind of conversations were happening between them after that, behind closed doors, under tense ceilings, but the silence from his number said enough. He wasn't defending her, and he definitely wasn't defending the family. Then on the fourth day, someone knocked. Not the doorbell, just a solid, sharp knock. Once, then again. I opened the door, and there she was, my mother, standing with her arms crossed, mouth tight. I didn't invite her in, just leaned on the doorframe, blocking the way. She didn't wait. You made your sister cry so hard she threw up. I stared at her, deadpan. And she's humiliated, she snapped. We had to explain to people why there were no professional photos, why the honeymoon was canceled, why you weren't at the wedding. I crossed my arms. Why do you think I wasn't there, Mom? She blinked, like the question had caught her off balance. Because you got upset over a text. I held her gaze. Number I didn't go because I was told not to. Don't twist this. Elena told me not to come. And you? You liked the message. Her eyes flicked away for a split second, but then she lifted her chin like that would erase it. It was obviously an overreaction. She was overwhelmed. You knew she didn't mean it. Didn't mean it. I gave a short, sharp laugh. You clicked the little thumbs up on a message where your daughter said I'd ruin her wedding photos. That's not stress, Mom. That wasn't just a message. That was cruelty, dressed up with a thumbs up emoji. She shifted uncomfortably. You always make things bigger than they are. So dramatic. No, I snapped. I used to swallow everything. I bit my tongue when you forgot my birthdays. I stayed quiet when Elena humiliated me in front of her friends. I said nothing when you looked me in the eye and told me I was hard to love. I let it all slide. Every time. But this was the line. And don't kid yourself. The only reason you're standing here now is because your favorite child's flawless little wedding fell apart in public. Her jaw tightened. You know what your problem is? You always want to be the victim. You just couldn't be happy for your sister, could you? Had to make it all about you. I stared at her, really looked at her. You know what? I used to believe that. I thought if I just kept my head down, worked hard, quietly covered the bills, maybe, just maybe, I'd finally matter to this family. But now I see it clearly. You never saw me as your son, just a resource, something to tap into when things got hard. And now that the tap's dry, suddenly I'm selfish. Her face flushed. Embarrassment or anger, I couldn't tell. Didn't care anymore. You're overreacting, she said again, but softer this time. No, I said, calm now. I'm not overreacting. I'm done reacting. I'm done being the guy in the background who picks up everyone else's slack. I met her eyes. I canceled the honeymoon because it was booked with my money. I called off the photographer because I paid for it. Every cent. And I didn't show up because Elena told me not to. That's not revenge. That's just following instructions. She opened her mouth, then shut it again. I stepped back and said, you should leave. Jake. Go. She hesitated, then turned and walked away without saying another word. That night, I opened my filing cabinet and pulled out a manila folder. The one I'd kept just in case. Inside were the receipts, transfer confirmations, hotel and flight bookings, every bit of documentation from the wedding. I scanned everything, made fresh copies, and typed out a short letter. To whom it may concern, attached are records of all payments made by me, Jacob, a last name, toward Elena's wedding and honeymoon. Included $8,000 to the photography vendor, $1,200 for flights and resort booking, $1,600 in supplemental expenses, decor, catering, transportation. Total, $13,800 of my personal funds, paid in good faith under the assumption I would be participating in the event. I was later instructed via text not to attend, with no apology or explanation provided. I am not seeking reimbursement. However, I formally request that my name no longer be mentioned in any future retellings or implications about the supposed ruining of the wedding. I did not ruin it. I simply stepped back. Jacob, I mailed one copy to my mother, another to Elena and Tyler. A third went to my aunt, the one who hosted holidays and loved dropping family gossip like confetti at Christmas. It wasn't vengeful. It was precise, quiet, clean, surgical. 2 weeks passed. Nothing. No replies. Just silence. And then, without any grand announcement, Elena posted a photo on Instagram. Her and Tyler sitting on a bench by a lake. No hashtags, no emojis. Just a caption, starting fresh. I didn't know what that meant. Were they still together? Was it spin? Didn't matter. For once, I didn't care, because I wasn't trying to fix anything anymore. I wasn't holding out for an apology or waiting for some fake holiday truce over spiked cider and awkward hugs. I was done. And that kind of peace, that was new. With that, I made one last decision. I called the bank and canceled every remaining auto payment. My parents' cell plan? Gone. The Amazon Prime account under my name? Closed. The streaming service I never used but paid for because Elena couldn't live without it? Disconnected. They'd managed just fine without acknowledging me. Now they could manage without my wallet too. The next morning, the final ripple came through. Group chat, family chat. Elena, Jake, can you fix the phone plan? It says inactive. Mom, we're all having issues with the internet. Did you change something? I looked at the screen, didn't type a word, just quietly exited the group. That was the last message I ever got from them. And honestly, it didn't feel like cutting people off. It felt like letting go of a version of myself I didn't need anymore. I wasn't escaping them. I was freeing myself from the part of me that kept bending, breaking, and paying just to be noticed. They didn't lose a brother. They lost an ATM. And I, for the first time ever, found peace in not being invited back.